From A to Z, it's plain to see. This podcast is about people in my industry. Writers, designers, social media managers. Don't forget the data miners. HR.
Welcome back. Okay, this is episode 6 of the From A to Z podcast. Today I'm joined by a super fun, exciting, energetic, talented young lady. Her name is Karabo Mashele from Joe Public. She works on one of the dopest chicken brands out there, Chicken Licking, and we're going to hear the nitty gritty and what goes into doing that. But before that, we're going to get into her story. Welcome, Karabo.
Oh, I thank you, PK.
Hey, it's been a while. I actually last saw you about 2 years ago. We worked
Pretty
together.
much.
We sat next to each other for 2 months straight while I was handing over Chicken Licking as the brand over to you as the new social media manager. And I want to find out how that has been, how that's been going, how you've been progressing with the brand and in your personal life, in your career. But before that, we want to start right from the beginning, Karabo. We want to hear a bit about your upbringing. Tell us about your upbringing in Soweto. What neighborhood are you from?
Oh my God. So I was basically known as, in the hood, there's like those girls that you only see them when they go out and buy bread. I was that girl. That's the only time I actually ever left the house. So growing up in Soweto, obviously, I only experienced it much, much later when I started working at Thesis Lifestyle, which I'm at right now. They become really close friends, but only experienced Soweto like literally after varsity, like from 2015. And I will tell you now, that was like, it wasn't, I wouldn't say like a culture shock, but it was like one of those things. It's like, oh my God, this place is actually quite cool. Like, I mean, because I went to like not an all-white school, but like multiracial school. I went to the University High School. I went to Malbarton Primary. And I was just like, oh, this place is nice. I like this place. Like things is just so easy. So accessible, very accessible. And like, I mean, it makes living a little much easier, I must say. So that was like pretty much my upbringing before I didn't went on up.
What about your home life? I know you have an older brother.
Yes.
Well, tell us about what it was like at home, being a younger sister and all of that.
Oh, being a younger sister was one of the best up until my brother had a child, my niece, Akane. We're like two peas in a pod. Like we're like together by the hip. And I think when she was born, her and I sort of had like a tough time getting along because, I've always been the only girl and being the youngest girl. And then she came along and it was just one of those, as in like now we're fighting for like my mom's attention, my brother's attention. So it was just one of those, but now we're the best of friends. I mean, we're 20 years apart. And like, look here, PK, when I say to you, we're best friends, I mean, we're best friends. I remember the other night, my cousin and I, Kudrano, were going out to, I think we're going to Mojo or something like that. And she told my brothers in like, Daddy, why did Kabo leave me? So she calls me Kabo. So my brother's like, what do you mean? Why did Kabo leave you? And she's like, yeah, why didn't she tell me to bring kwaikwais? So in her brain, her and I are pretty much the same age. We're the same height. We're the same everything. To her, like we're supposed to go out to Moja Cafe, like all three of us. And can I tell you, have you seen those like kiddies little high heels that you see at ShopRite and like Pick and Pay and whatever?
Yeah.
Those pink ones, the Barbie ones.
The training heels.
Oh, those ones. That's what she wanted to wear on like our little outing. But it's just really crazy to watch her grow up and how close her and I have become and all of that stuff. So that was home. Home has pretty much been like a very, very close-knit little safety net.
What about Karabo in school? Were you always this bubbly, fun, energetic little girl running around in school, liking things?
To be quite honest with you, I think I have been. But at the same time, I've always had like, a resting lady face more than anything. In high school, I did art, I played hockey, I was quite sporty, very athletic and so on. But high school was quite blurry, very blurry, because that's when you're coming of age and things start to happen to your body and things like that. But I remember primary school was like one of like my best times ever. I used to have a lady that I used to go to aftercare, and my preschool teacher, her name was Auntie Barbie. So look, yeah, I've always been that little cute girl, very bubbly. I think as the older I've grown, I've become a lot more louder than I was before. But I've always been like quite energetic, bubbly, and all of that. My mom always tells me a story about when we moved to Ingwalala, which is in the south, which is by Malbarton. And she took me to Peanuts preschool. My mom's like, Karabo, do you understand that you didn't know a word of English, but on the school bus, you were screaming, you were shouting, you were singing as if you knew the songs. I didn't know a word, not even a word of English, nothing. But there I was, number one. And she'd always repeat the story when we're at Ingolala, obviously. It should be like, Karabo, all you used to do, like, you'd stand by the window and be like, hello, hello, because that's all that I knew. But I've always been that like forward little girl and all of that stuff. But yeah, till today, still that person.
I remember going to work with my mom the one time, and there was a stack of magazines. I was maybe like 4 or 5, maybe 6, and I couldn't read at all. But I took the magazine.
Yes.
I remember just looking at it so seriously, looking at the people walking past me, looking so
Yeah.
seriously, acting like I'm reading. I don't know what
Yes.
I'm doing right now. But Karabo,
Ah,
did
the
you
innocence of being a child.
right? Did you always want to be a creative of some sort? Did you always want to be out there? Did you know you had that spark, that creative spark in you?
To be honest with you, how I actually got to where I am, I first wanted to be an artist. And wanting to be an artist in a black family is just like, but dog, you're not gonna make money till you die. So you need to kind of think
Yeah.
of something else. So, well, apart from that, I was like, cool, I'll be a physiotherapist because I was very like, sports inclined. So I was like, I'll be a physiotherapist, or I'll be a child psychologist, or I will be a artist. So they're like, okay, cool, girl, let's sit down, let's look at all of these things that you have. And I was like, ooh, physiotherapy and psychology requires maths. The girl in maths, ooh, it's a no-go. So I was just like, okay, cool, I'll be an artist. My uncle's like, dog, you can't be an artist. I'm like, okay, then what can I be? And he was like, think about it. What else do you want to do? That's when I came across graphic design. So they called it graphic design. Now it's called communication design. So that's when I ended up studying communication design. So I've always been like, creative at heart, your little Adobe geek, up until I got to being a social media manager, where I don't touch any of those programs. But it's been very wild getting to where I actually am right now.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that and how what you studied ropes into, what you're doing now and all of that. But before that, I actually want to know, what's one of the ads you remember from your childhood?
That Plascon one. It's is it Plascon?
The one
Yes,
with
it
the
should be
dog.
Plascon. No, 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 no. Way, way back to it's like the two Barbie dolls, sort of the wood Barbie dolls that are now they're busy sunbathing outside. They're catching a tan. So the whole ad was basically about wood varnish or something like that. Wood varnish or Plascon, between the two. And so the one obviously puts on the little wood varnish thing as if she's putting on bronzer
Yes,
in the
yes,
pink
yes, yes,
little
yes.
costumes. They're sitting out there. And then as the day goes by, the other one's looking green, whatever. That's the ad I
I
remember.
remember that
That
one,
one.
yeah. I remember that
Yes.
one too. That's dope.
It means
But
I'm
like you said,
old.
I think you're about, I just turned 29 the other day. I think you're like 2 years younger than me.
Nope, 28.
28, yeah, 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 I knew that. Yeah, come on now. We're of the same culture, but we'll get into all of that culture talk a little bit later. Like you said, you studied communication design, right? At UJ.
Yes.
Talk to us about that
Yes.
college experience. Were you that party animal? Were you out there bunking, skipping? Come on, everybody used to do that. Come on now.
Can I tell you? I think that is when I became myself. I mean, I've lived a very sheltered life. I mean, being the only girl, living in the hood, only leaving the house when I got out to buy bread. I mean, I was in transport till matric. And matric, I mean, I never really used to go out much because my mom was just like, Karabo, just finish with school, the hood is not really, don't like bother yourself with what's going on. Like, it's got nothing to do with you. Just focus on what you have to do. So I've lived a very sheltered life till I got to varsity. That was when I knew that I could drink guys under the table. I had a best friend. She was Xhosa. So her name was Leletu, and she basically got me out of like, my little girl shell and into being, this big girl that does a lot of things. Because my mom, not that we come from a very strict family, but my mom has always made sure that you must always be home before you have to close the curtains. So there's always been a thing. So I was always home by like 5:30, 6 o'clock, because once you see the street lights on, you need to be at home, sort of
Jeez,
a
until
thing.
what age was that?
Can I tell you, till forever? It's
Wow.
been till forever, even till today. No, not
Wow.
be home, but it's just one of those rules that you know what, you just come home early. If you're not going to come home, then say so. So in varsity, I lived on campus. Do you even think that there was time to close curtains? No, I didn't have time to do any of that. Homegirl was out. Like I was out all the time. And what made it worse is that we knew all of the rugby guys. Well, majority of the rugby guys, because you know,
Ooh,
across the
whoa.
people basically they come from Dale College and all of these places. I don't even know where they are, but all of them just know each other. So there we were every single Monday. It was us and watching the rugby boys play rugby. And after that, it was going to Stones because they had to celebrate whatever win they had. So that was pretty much my life. And then I'd have like hockey practice, let's just say on Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll go to APK, we'll go chill with our brother Rez, which was Aslan. And there we were, we'd chill with more of the hockey guys. So because of sports and having to be so active, I basically got like well, that's where I got like my social life together. But I will tell you now, there's been many, many nights I'm like, how did I get back to my room in one piece? How did that happen? But
Right.
yeah, it was one of my best times. I won't lie to you. Oh, like best times.
So now college is over. There's that, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, period or phase where you're really trying to figure out exactly what it is you want to do, or kind of, or maybe just look for whatever you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was more like my experience. I was like chilling for about a year
Mm-hmm.
almost, and like, in that little funny period, that little dwell period, and
Mm.
and then something sparks. How was that for you? Right after college, how did you find your first job?
So I'll be in that moment. I don't even think. I think I remember having an episode in. I think it was in the first year, if not second year, where I called my brother and I said I don't want to do this anymore, and he said to me, "Karabo, what do you mean?" And he's like, and I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to study this anymore. I want to do something a little easier, like being a therapist or something, which is not really easy, but that was me in my brain. And he was like, listen to me, I'm never going to have this conversation with you again. At home, I finish record time. So therefore, you shall finish record time. So in that moment, I basically, that was when I was just like, okay, cool. Karabo, you need to finish record time. There's no time to fail, no time to do any of those things. So I quickly had to, grow up. And also the shock of seeing all of your peers not actually graduating. So even from around that period, I was quite serious. But then when I actually got to the crux of it all, my first job was actually at thesis in 2015, straight after graduating. And I actually, before that, I said to myself, I had the exact same thing. I also wanted to just chill and do nothing, but I was like, I'll go to China and, do teaching for a year like everybody does. And my mom was like, you're not doing that. And my grand at the time, she was obviously, her health was slowly deteriorating, and she said to me, "Please don't go." So I said, "Okay, cool, I won't go." But unfortunately, that very same year, she passed away, and that's when I started working properly at Thesis. And I'd like to believe that my first job at Thesis Lifestyle was basically it molded me to sort of be the person that I am, and having all of these, like having this very, very unique skill set. And that is why I was very, very scared into going into agency or going into like into the big bad world. Because once you get to the other side, they want you to be very professional and saying that, okay, cool, you're a social media manager, you're a designer, you're a this, but never have they said you can do all of those things at once. So being in small agencies, that's where I was able to pretty
Yeah.
much be everything.
Yeah, that more niche agency
Mm,
experience is definitely
yeah,
something that a lot of people get to experience, and some people are in the big agency environment their whole careers and never experience
yeah,
that smaller. But now I guess everybody's kind of in their own little agency at home because we're all working from home.
correct,
And how has that been for
correct.
you? How has working from home been for you actually?
Oh my goodness, it's been a real, real trip. So like I said earlier on, I've always been like into sports and stuff, and that was always like been a release. of, all the stress and things. And when we were in like a very, very hard lockdown when we couldn't do anything, I like it was very hard for me. Like when I mean very hard, like I mean I had a schedule of waking up, let's just say 5:30, 5 o'clock. I'd go out for a run, go to the gym, come back, get dressed, go to work. So the whole thing of having a routine was out of the way, and having to work in the lounge, at a desk in the house, having to work in my room. So the space that I called home had now become work as well, which was quite stressful, which sort of meant that there was no switching off or there was no leaving. I just had to stay. I was always working all the time. And that was the only thing that I could possibly do. Like I couldn't go out to run, I couldn't go to the gym. Home workouts, I'm sorry, I was not going to do that. I was doing home workouts and I was like, this ain't it though. No
I did home
ways.
workouts for about a good 13 days straight, and then I was like, this is boring.
Nah, I'm grand. I'm really grand. So working from home has really been like a serious trip, but it also made me realize that there's something called time management. Time management in having to look after yourself and allowing yourself to, be at work and leave work, even though you're not physically leaving work, but allowing you to actually leave work. I think now it's the biggest takeout that I've gotten from working from home, actually being able to leave work and leave it at work and close your laptop.
Yeah. If only we had that same mentality like before lockdown and that
Yes.
like
Yes.
in normal time. But
Yeah.
anyways, you speak quite a bit about thesis, and it seems like that was quite a big, a major experience in your life or phase, and it's currently a part of your life now. I want to speak
Mm-hmm.
about thesis and street culture and advertising and how you merge those worlds together and how you kind of, us as social media managers, act as regulators or protectors of the culture that we come from. How do you feel
Yes.
about that?
So it's been a very awakening experience because I've never really, not saying that I was quite insecure with myself, but I never really thought that I would be that person. Sometimes you see yourself as something else, but when you look in the mirror, you're actually, something else. So it was a very like big awakening to know that being part of popular culture and liking things and my personality has enabled me to pretty much do a lot of things. And when I say a lot of things, like be in certain spaces and learning from all of these things. I remember the one time my brother said to me, he was like, Karabo, you'll never know who your next boss will be. So by virtue of that, your boss isn't one that's wearing a suit and tie or anything like that. It's the one that you meet at a party or that you meet at a coffee shop or the most unusual places. So for me, no, I'm not saying that every single day was an interview, but I treated, all the different places that I went to as a way to learn and understand and, take in all of those skills and all of those learnings and put it together, and knowing that one day I'm going to tell Akane, my niece, that, okay, cool, when you get into the creative space, this is what you do. You do stuff for the people, for the culture. You don't do it not just for awards, not just for, all of those funny accolades, but everything needs to be so authentic. And I think that's what street culture is about and popular culture. It's really just like anybody expressing themselves. And when you express yourself, obviously it's something very, very authentic. No one can ever replicate. Like, I mean, you and I can dress the same, but because of how we authentically express ourselves, we're going to look different. So that's what being at Thesis has basically helped me, understand and learn, not just about like the people, but also in advertising that you also need to bring yourself into the work that you do. Like, okay, cool. Well, as Karabo or as PK, will you actually like this? Will I like this product?
Is this
Or
really
if I,
dope or not?
yes, like, am I really being true to all of this? And if this is going to happen, am I going to take the responsibility as well? And I'm going to be accountable. I'm not going to say as a custodian of culture, but as, I won't say as a Black person, but as a young person who's within the
Of
streets,
the
am
culture,
I
yeah.
correct? Am I going to be responsible in when I use, for instance, well, in a campaign? Am I going to be responsible in saying that should anything were to happen in wherever that word originates from, as the brand, we're going to stand by those people because you can't just use words, phrases, and things. But when, what do they call it? I was about to say civil rights. But something that happens when like within that moment, as a brand, I'm gonna stand by these people, social something. I'll find the word now. Like if something happens within those people or within that moment or within that cultural moment as a brand, because I've taken a bit from that, am I actually going to be responsible enough and stand by those people? So that's how I see advertising, and seeing my life, and seeing all of the things that I've learned and picked up on the streets come together. And I think that's how you have a unique voice in everything,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I was actually watching another podcast the other day, and the guy, he made a comment. He's like, you'll be in the club and you'll see your client, or you'll see a rival person from another agency celebrating. You're like, why is this person celebrating? Oh, that time they are celebrating winning the pitch that you were just on. And you
Yes,
didn't even know.
yes. I think I saw a similar tweet like that where they were speaking about going to the Royal.
Was
Wow,
it?
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Was it a
Yes,
podcast or a tweet? It was a tweet. Yeah, it wasn't a podcast.
yes,
I listen to a
yes,
lot of
yes.
podcasts. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
know,
yeah,
I know.
yeah, that's our role as social media managers, to kind of provide that insight, and kind of try to make sure that we protect as much of the culture that we are a part of,
Yes,
and
yes.
also be responsible for the brand that we are custodians of.
That is
Yeah.
very absolutely, absolutely true. And when we speak like this, when I was trying to get the word, I spoke about when, what happened last year with Black Lives Matter, not just in America, but just in like, the whole world, and how Nike stood by, um, the movement in saying that because majority of our, advertising and majority of our whatever, and majority of our, ambassadors are actually black people, we stand by this cause because we've taken a bit of like black people's culture. It's
Yeah.
only right for us to stand by this cause. So that's what I was trying to get to, in being like, you need to be that voice, and you need to be very responsible in the things that you touch on. Yes, it's very cool, but when things go south as the brand, you also need to say something, which is, I think, the biggest thing that I've also learned within what's happening now in with COVID, and brands and people jumping onto social media thinking, oh my God, we're going to be so cool on social media, but they don't actually want to be very responsible in what happens off of social media.
Yeah. Super insightful there, Karabo. Super, super duper. We'll be right back. From A to Z, we're going to take a quick break.
From A to Z, it's plain to see. This podcast
Back from A to Z with Karabo Mashele, social media manager at Joe Public, working on the dopest chicken brand. Like I said, chicken licking. Karabo, I want to find out some of your interests outside of advertising. I know you're an avid runner.
Yeah.
Some people have said that I am shaped like a championship gold medal winning Kenyan runner.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bo, bo, bo,
So
bo.
I don't know what to say. Please tell us about your running stuff.
So my running also weirdly, not weirdly, it started after varsity. So because I played like a lot of hockey since high school and whatever, and then as a woman, your body sort of changes once you become of age. So I was like, oh my God, I need to do something else. I don't want to get fat. Like I genuinely don't want to get fat. And I'm not being a fattest, but that for me personally was like, I don't want to get fat. I'd like to be, in my little frame. I like it. So that's when I got into running. So again, part of thesis. So I'm gonna just quickly tell you before I jump back into that. So with part of thesis, they're clothing brand, and as well as lifestyle. So when I speak about the lifestyle aspect, they cycle and run. So that was also part of my job, to host the running events on Saturdays, sometimes during the week, and as well as the big running events and things that they would have like during certain holidays. I think it was Freedom Day and Heritage Day, that sort of stuff. So that's how I also got into the business of running and the eventing side of running. But running is really like I wouldn't say like a very big part of it. And like I said before, it had a lot to do with my social life. So running has become like a lifestyle. so to say. And that's where you actually have a lot more conversations with people. You'd be very surprised what you learn from people while running, or let's just say being active.
While I was about to say while running, I'm like, who wants to talk while running? I
Yes,
remember I used to do park runs, obviously before COVID, and people are like having full conversation. I'm like, I don't want to talk.
yes,
Even my wife, she's like trying to talk. I'm like, but I can't talk right now. I'm trying to live right now, you
yes.
know?
Look here, while running is when you've mastered your breathing techniques. So when you talk and run, that shows that you've actually mastered your breathing. And the whole part of running is that you need to breathe and run at the same time. So I've always used conversation as a way for people to breathe and talk, and to also steady their pace. I say this because I'm a booster for Adidas Runners Joburg, and I usually sweep people at the back. So while sweeping at the back, people also do open up about who they are, why they started running or why they want to keep active. So, and I don't know if this is actually a thing, but there's a lot of emotion around sports. So that's what I've basically used, that mini technique of like semi therapy, while running with people at the back and wanting to find out about who they are, how to better their running experience, and also for them to lead a much healthier life. For what running has done to me, I basically want to pass it on to other people, essentially.
That's dope. That's dope. Keep
Mm-mm.
running. Keep on running.
Oh,
Forrest Gump.
yes, yes.
Forrest Gumpalina. Alright, cool. Now, something else that we have in common, other than me also working on Chicken Licken in the past, and also being an avid streetwear lover, you were also nominated for the New Gen. I need to get it right because it's super long. New Gen Best
Yes,
Agency Community Engagement Manager of the Year Award 2020.
yes,
I was also nominated. I think I was nominated maybe
yes.
2 years prior. Have never picked it up, but just
Mhm.
know that you did an amazing job by getting a nomination. Out of, I don't know how many people
Oh,
get
thank you.
nominated. Might be 60, 80, 100 social media
Yes.
managers in South Africa, and you are top four. How do you feel about that, and what work went into getting there?
Oh, and congratulations to you. Because I was sitting there and I saw the nominees and I was like, oh, PK as well. He's
I was
gonna
like,
take it, definitely.
I, I was like, Karabo came through like the dark horse in the night. I'm like, she's got. I'm like, oh, that was dope. But congratulations, big congratulations. How do
Oh,
you feel
thank
about it?
you, thank
And
you.
what went into that?
So I've never really put myself out there, like I said before, and it's not because of insecurities, but it was just like I never really thought that I could, get there. But fear does that to you. You always think that you can't do it, but you're actually more than capable and more than willing to actually do it. So it was one of the very, very big steps. And when I put together, my entry, I was like, good God, I actually did a lot. Like I was like, I genuinely did a lot. And when we got numbers from, media and all of that stuff, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I genuinely did a lot and I did a really great job. And that for me was like a moment of like, Karabo, you know what? You're doing great. Like, girl, you're genuinely doing great. And this is not even like, oh, you're trying to hype yourself up with nothing that's there. And I'm like, but here's the proof. Here's the proof. And you're doing so well. And for me, that was a moment of, congratulating myself. And this is something that I've always said to other friends and other people, that at every moment that you get, you always need to congratulate yourself. And I think for me, that was my biggest win. Besides not actually winning, like I know I cried because I was like I cried because not because I didn't win. I cried because I was like, oh my God, you put yourself out there and you allowed yourself to be seen by people outside of your close circle, and you were okay with it. It's not about winning the actual award, but you got yourself out there, meaning that it's another step for me to get up from just being this person that I see myself now. I can do greater things. So that was like my personal experience with putting my entry together, which I
I'm
revisit every now and then.
I'm emotional for you hearing you speak about it. Instead of crying, let's dance. Elaniti hooray. Sekete, 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 yeah. Karabo, what other than advertising, if you weren't in social media, what
Mhm.
do you think would your other career be?
This is very odd, okay, because I had three choices. So the one, I'd be a bakery owner where I make gourmet cupcakes. And another part of that would be an ice cream place like Paul's, and I would name it Scoops of Me. So that was pretty much my one
Hey,
part of what I wanted
before
to
you go
do.
any further, make sure you register that now,
Oh, I have.
buy the
Oh, I
domain
have.
name, all of
I
that.
have. I have
Smart. See,
already.
that's
Don't
why
you
I mess
worry.
with you. That's why I mess with you.
I
See,
know. There's shady lurkers out here. Don't
you know
worry.
what I'm
I've already
saying?
done all of that stuff.
Good stuff.
So that was the one part. And the other part was to work in a nursery. Um, yes, one, it was plants, but a nursery is in like also a nursery school to be like, a teacher. That's what I wanted to do. And the other part of me, which I think a lot about off late, and I think maybe because I've been so passionate about like a woman and growing up, because I've also seen my body change and stuff. I'd wanted to create, or I don't know, at some point, get to a point where I manufacture, sports underwear for women because you go to the, I know you're a guy, you don't see these things or know of these things, but like you go to the gym or you're running or you're doing all of these active things and you look like as in like, oh my god, you just need the proper underwear for this. And I'm gonna boldly say that in the market they don't cater for all shapes and sizes. Basically, like I mean, there's your women that are in the middle and those that are beyond the middle. And I'm not saying chubby, but like beyond the size that they give you. Because I know I always have like a hard time finding jeans because I'm a size 34, but at the same time 34 is a bit too big. I can't wear size 32 because it's a bit too small. So I often wonder what happened if there was like a size 33. And imagine if I'm going through this, there could be other people that just need that size in the middle. So apart from being in advertising and the digital space, I'd want to create underwear for women, actually.
And actually, one of my questions was going to be, what do you feel strongly about? It sounds like you feel strongly about women and empowering
Yes.
women and doing for women.
Yes, being and doing stuff for women and not in the cliche way of like, oh, sisterhood. No, no, no. None of that stuff. Like I'd really want to go down to the grassroots of like educating young women about, their bodies, when they grow up, what happens, what changes. And this obviously then stems back to social media where you go onto, Instagram explore and you go onto Twitter and whatever, and you find women that are so perfect, they're so beautiful. And then you look at yourself and you're like, but hold on, I could never amount to this person or I can never be like this. So also part of being in the social media space, you also want to be an advocate for the realness of people and not saying body positivity. Yes, body positivity, but like a step further than that, like how can brands also do this to satisfy the needs of those in the middle that see themselves but don't see themselves. So somewhere along the lines, not digital social media and being very passionate about women really does come together. Somewhere just need to find that specific dot. But yeah, that's exactly like what I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah, I have no doubts in my mind that you are going to be a powerful, powerful woman in the future. But I want to find out who are some of the powerful women that inspire you in your organization, Joe Public alone. You have people like Kutala Holton, who's the
Mm-hmm.
MD. You have Calibri. Shout out to Calibri, head of social media at Joe Public. Powerful women like and so many other women. It's a female led company. But who other than that, who do you look to and who do you look up to?
Um, I look up to Asbo actually. Asbo is an account manager.
As well before.
Um, yes, and and it's not just yes, it's ASBO, but also looking at those that do the groundwork. Yes, you see the big names, the big women, the big people in the higher up top, but those that are, keeping the foundation, that are keeping the foundation very steady for, those to basically jump up and, be higher. And so I look up to your ASBOs of the world who are, they crack the glass ceiling for other women and then others basically just break through. So those are the women that really, really do inspire me actually. Oh,
I
there's
love
no goosebumps.
I love that. No, no, I love that answer. You flipped that one on. You flipped that one on me very well.
Have a way with words. I have a
Thank you.
way.
Well done. Um, any dream brand to work on? Obviously, you can stay away from the FMCG stuff. But what's your dream brand to work on?
Ooh, that is a tough one. Very tough, actually. Very, very tough. Um, very.
Would
I'd
it be like
actually
a Nike and Adidas clothing
no,
wise? Not.
no. I already had experience with those people. It would be in maybe the I wouldn't. Oh, Spotify. Sorry, Spotify. Yeah. Almost forgot. Spotify carried me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all the music gods. They carried me through, but it would actually be Spotify. I love the humanness that they have in not just, producing music and playlists every month or every week for you, but in the humanness of they sort of get you. Like when I say they get you, they get you. When I'm sad, oh, Adele is there. She's there. And all of these other women are there. But I'd really want to work on Spotify, the user experience, the user journey, everything that has got to do with tapping into the person and the person's personality. That is what I'd want to work on. I'd really want to work in that space.
So we obviously know you're a Spotify, not an iTunes person. But
I would.
what are you jamming right now?
I was actually listening to Smino. Yes, I was listening to Smino on Apple. Prior to listening to Smino, I was listening to something that Ezra actually recommended not so long ago. It is Mac Miller's almost covers of Good Morning. And I actually wanted to cry because
Yeah,
I personally miss Mac Miller.
yeah,
It was like he was my friend. But yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm jamming at the moment.
Oof, Mac Miller. Yeah. There's a song,
Oh,
What Am
oh,
I Doing Here? Where he just like he was so young there. I don't know where he got those words from. Everybody out there, please go listen to that. Like,
please.
whew. Okay,
I
let's get out
know.
of there. Let's get out of there. um okay, yo, whew. Anyways, let's get into a more fun part. Let's get into the quiz segment.
Yes.
I'm just gonna ask you this or that, and you can tell me why not this or why that, right?
Okay.
What is your favorite hip hop or hood movie? Would it be Belly with DMX, RIP DMX, or Baby Boy with Tyrese?
Oh, Bailey, what am I doing with baby boy? Even then,
Okay,
I thought you were
okay,
gonna go a little further and go paid in full, like paid in full
okay,
way.
okay. If you
It
could
will
have
be
gone the
between
same, but that was too. I mean, there are different types of movies, but I mean, I mean, hey,
between Bailey and paid in full. Oh, I'd go for paid in full, no doubt,
all
no
right,
doubt.
all right,
Yes.
all right. What is your favorite Beyonce song right now? Mine is between, well, not right now, of all time. Mine is Halo, between Halo and
Mhm.
He Still Loves Me. That one from the Fighting Temptations.
I get you.
You want to talk about
So
Goosebumps, but what?
is that goosebumps? For me, it's find your way back, right? That's one. And resentment. The live version. I was like, ooh, I don't even have a boyfriend, but I'm hating people right now. I hate everybody. I hate them. The way she went on and, with the edge of the, like, the stage and she was singing into the mic. I was like, yeah, I understand that resentment. That time, resentment for what? For who? I've got none of that. But that song, Resentment, that's one of my favorite. And also Find Your Way Back.
Shout out to the Beehive. Shout
Thanks.
out to the Beehive one time. Now it's actually Friday and the weather seems
Yes.
quite amazing. I
Mhm.
want to find out about what groove you prefer. What type of party vibe do you prefer? Do you prefer a chilled rooftop sunset vibe, chill vibes, or do you prefer a
Mhm.
packed club, bottles? Oh, there's gonna be bottles everywhere. A packed club, and amapiano and hip hop performances. Which one do you prefer, the chilled vibe or the rah rah rah?
Very chilled vibe. My friend and I, Razia, the other week, we were busy talking about like how we went to this other party, what was called That's Nice. That was when I still had pink hair. That place is by 40, I think 44 Juto, something like that, in Brahm. It was nice, intimate, day vibes. It was basically like brunch. Where you got there, you were served a glass of, bubbles, and you basically ate. And as the night or day progressed, you basically were so happy and almost drunk off of bubbles. And here's the nice thing: it ended at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. it ended. And by 4 p.m. you were toasted. You didn't want anything else.
That's grown
You
up.
just wanted to go home. Yes. Daytime chilled. I want to be in bed by 8 o'clock. I'm so sorry. I've become such a granny.
I think your college time, your time with the rugby boys and them.
Yeah, no, it came and it ended very quickly.
Now, I think I have the last one. Would you rather be covered in fur or scales?
Ooh, fur. I'm so sorry.
And what
Can I
type
tell
of
you
fur?
that?
What type of fur?
Chinchilla, baby. Chinchilla Manila. I know animal cruelty. I'm very sorry, people of PETA. I'm very sorry, but maybe
No,
there's
no, no.
fur.
It's not that. It's not. You're not doing that. You are born with it on, either scales or fur. You're not hurting
Fur.
no animals are hurt in this.
Fur. I'm so sorry, fur. I'm telling you, I'm so scared of being cold. Like, I hate being cold. Right now, I'm wearing a sweater, but underneath, I'm wearing a vest. I'm wearing long socks. I'm wearing a beanie. Look, it's not that cold. It's cold, but not that cold. But look, I'm so sorry. So, fur, give it to me. All of. And white. White. Yeah. White one.
For sure, for sure. Karabo, where do you see? I like I said, I know you're gonna be a powerful, super successful, a young lady. But where do you see yourself? Because in 5 years you'll still be a young lady. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, in our country, when you're still 35 plus, you're still considered youth. Still.
Youth, yes.
Ideally, I see myself being a lot more chilled than what I am right now. So, on a farm, maybe going into the agriculture like side of life, like I mean, slow down. I mean, I've had enough technology for, my life right now. So in the next 5 years, that's what I'd really love to see myself, like being very slowed down on a farm somewhere, walking around in my pink Wellingtons after, milking my cows. I'll even probably still do design work, designing my little, bee packaging because I'll have bees somewhere on my farm. But that's where I genuinely see myself. A lot more slowed down, a lot more chilled, away from the city. Hopefully, that's where I really do see myself. Come on my farm. I have a trampoline and I have a jumping castle.
I'll take some eggs, milk. I'm lactose intolerant, but that doesn't matter. But I'll take some eggs, some milk, whatever you got. Yo, do you have any last words for the listeners? You can literally just plug your social media. You can recite a poem.
Recite a poem. That is so cute. I think the biggest will probably be like some inspirational stuff where I'll say always believe in yourself and always remain soft, always be vulnerable, always love. I mean, I always say this to my friend level, and she says, "Oh, Chumi, you're so hectic." And I'm like, if you were called, into the pearly gates today, and God were to ask you, like, what have you done? Your response should always be, I loved as much as I could. I was vulnerable as much as I could. I did as much as I could with the powers that you gave me. I lived. So that would be like my parting words. That, like, I mean, from this day forth, that is what you should do. Do the most.
The
Be
most,
happy.
the most we shall do. Thank you so much, Karabo,
Yes.
for joining me. Episode 6 from A to Z podcast. Yo, this was
Thank
a
you
dope
for
one.
having me.
Thank you for
Thank you.
linking up, homegirl. I wish you more success, more nominations, more wins, more all of that, more everything.
Thank you.
More life. Thank you so much for joining me from A to Z. Please make
Thank
sure you
you.
follow, like, comment, subscribe, share, make this thing go boom. We out.
From A to Z, it's plain to see. This podcast is about people in my industry. Writers, designers, social media managers. Don't forget the data miners.